Hello everyone, this is my 5-minute Napoleon project. There is the video part. There's 3 parts: Napoleon's rise, Napoleon's reign, and Napoleon's fall. There's 5 parts per one, so let's get started with Napoleon's rise, which is the first part. Question 1. Where did he come from? What was his early life like? On August 15th, 1769, in a small town called Yako, France, cannot pronounce that right, a young man named Napoleon was born. In the year of his birth, Corsica was corrupted by France, and Napoleon's parents were part of the Corsican regiments and fought against the French. But after the French conquered Napoleon's father, Carlo Maria Barmet, started working for the new government. Growing up as a young boy, Napoleon was a rambunctious child, as many youths do need a discipline. Being a hard-headed woman, Napoleon's mother, Liza, would often punish the young man. Surprisingly, Napoleon had great respect for his mother for that reason. At the age of 9, he was sent to a military academy on the French mainland because of his Corsican nationalism. He was mocked by the other students for both his political views and his accent as he spoke Corsican up to this point of age, which is age 9. Because of this, the young man became quiet and he dove into history and mathematics. This made him arculant. Okay, question 2. What was his early military life like? Okay. On a completion of his studies at Rheinland in 1784, Napoleon was admitted to the École Militaire in Paris. He was trained to become an artillery officer, but after his father's death, he had to complete a 2-year course in only 1 year, as that's when the funds from his father would run out. He served in Valise and Oxford until the outbreak of the French Revolution, which was in 1789. Soon after, he was sent to Corsica, where he spent the next few years, and over time he became a true believer in the revolution. He was given a command over a battle line, I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry, of volunteers, and he was promoted to captain in the regular army in July of 1792. Soon after, the Corsicans came under British protection. Bonnet and his family were compelled to flee the Tourland and the French mainland in June of 1793 because of that. After Napoleon published a popular pamphlet, he was appointed a senior gunner and a artillery commander of the Republican forces, which arrived on September 8th at the Tourland. Napoleon and his men captured a hill. He received a wound in his thigh because of this. Because of his victory, though, the French forces would take the city. After that, he was awarded the artillery of France's army of Italy. In 1795, he married Desiree Claire. Sorry, I cannot pronounce that right. 2 days after his marriage was the start of the First Italian campaign. During the war, Napoleon defeated every rival effort, scoring victories at the Battle of Cascon, Balso, and Arcole, and rival. Sorry, these words are confusing. Sorry. After winning the Battle of Taurus in March of 1797, Napoleon was within 100 kilometers of Vernia, making them sue for peace, ending in the Treaty of Leoben. Okay, question 3. How did he rise to power? In 1792, France's revolutionary government had been engaged in military conflicts with various European nations. So, a couple years later, in 1796, Napoleon commanded a French army that defeated large armies of Austria. One of Napoleon's countries, primarily one of his rivals in a series of battles in Italy. In 1797, France and Austria signed the Treaty of Camilbo, resulting in a terror gain for the French. So the following year, the five-person group that governed France in 1795 offered to let Napoleon lead the invasion of England. Napoleon was determined that France's naval forces were not ready to go up against the superior British Royal Navy because they were tough. Instead, he proposed an invasion of Egypt to wipe out the British trade routes with India. Napoleon troops scored a huge victory against Egypt's military rulers, the Manlunks. I can't tell if I pronounced that right. Anyways, at the Battle of the Pyramids in July of 1798, soon, however, his forces were stranded after his naval fleet was nearly stunted. It's a hard word to pronounce. By the British at the Battle of Nye in August 1798. The following year, in early 1799, Napoleon's army launched an invasion of the Ottoman Empire ruled Syria, which ended with a false stage of Acre. Located in modern-day Israel that summer, with the politic situation in France marked by uncertainty, the ever ambitious and the cunning Napoleon opened to abandon his army in Egypt and return to France. But when he returned to France, he found the Republican. However, they were bankrupt, and effectively directory was unpopular with the French Revolution. But to the people, he was a hero, so he established a powerful group of people who helped him take over the government and establish himself as Napoleon. As Napoleon became the first consort for 10 years. Okay, that is question 3. This is question 4. What were Napoleon's wars like? So,
Napoleonic Wars.
What were Napoleonic Wars like? Anyways, sorry. The Napoleonic Wars officially started in 1803 with the start of the Third Coalition. Thank you. I cannot pronounce that word. The Third Coalition almost ended in the fall of 1805 with Britain destroying the Franco-Spanish fleet at the Battle of Tangar. But in December of that same year, France signed the Treaty of Pressburg, which took Austria out of the war completely. Though Britain and Russia tried to stop the invasion of Sicily with the war that was coming to an end around 1806, Parisians' worries about growing French influence in Europe started the War of the Fourth Coalition. I can't pronounce it right. In 1806. It ended after, though, the treaties of Tilsit in July of 1807. France made peace with Russia, which agreed to join the continental system. The treaty was practically harsh on Prussia, giving up a good portion of its land. Starting in 1809, but after the wrapping up of the Khazar War, France drew 100,000 troops from Prussia. The war ended later that year in 1809. They fought over the liberating Palencia, Spain, Portugal, and the United Kingdom against invading and occupying forces of the First French Empire during the Napoleonic Wars. It was a long drawn-out campaign for France. It overlaps wars like Spanish War for Independence and the Fifth Coalition. It ended with French forces in a fighting withdrawal across the Pyrenees during the winter of 1813 and 1814. After the wars, there was a long power struggle, and it is one of the most chaotic periods in Spain's long history as a nation in general. In 1812, Napoleon started the most destructive campaign of Napoleonic Wars, of the Napoleonic Wars. In less than 6 months after the start of the invasion, Napoleon overextended his army, pushing Russians back to only several miles from Moscow, which is their main capital. It is there that the Battle of Borodino, where the French were battled into occupying the city. Then the Russian forces, which failed, after staying in the city for 5 weeks waiting for their surrender, Napoleon lost the Battle of Moscow, and slaves were sent to retreat back to where they came from. Soon after the treatment started, snow hit. The French, with no winter supplies, and the Russian forces attacking from every single side. Very few out in that winter made it out back alive. Okay, question 5, which is the last question of part 1. How did he fall from power? Napoleon fell from the power of being an empire. Well, let's start with he becoming the empire. He created the confirmation of rhyme, consolidated the fractured German kingdoms, extended Holland and Rome, and founded Grand Duchy of Warsaw and Poland. This rule was under 70 million Europeans, so Francis of Austria and Tsar Alexander of Russia had joined Britain in an alliance to destroy him because they did not like him. In rebellion for the English blockage for the French coast, Napoleon declared the continental blockade in an attempt to cripple England's economy. All of Europe braced itself for a coming war. Alexandra, he was the president, basically, of Russia, broke the Treaty of Tilsit with France by trading with England, openly challenging Napoleon's power. On April 12, 1814, Napoleon was forced to abdicate his throne after being allied by Austria, Prussia, and Russian forces, defeating his army, and they occupied Russia, or Paris, sorry. So, in short, Napoleon fell from the power of being an empire because he was defeated by Austria, Prussia, and Russian militaries. Okay, part 2, Napoleon's reign. Question 1. Did the people like him in general or as a person when he was in power? When Napoleon was an empire of France, people loved him, and I mean loved him, because he restored France as a whole country in all. He also did a lot of other things when he was an empire that the people liked. For example, such as he had a higher education system for all, a tax code, road and sewer systems were being built. He established the Banque de France. It was the first central bank in France's history. He negotiated the Contort of 1801, which, with the Catholic Church, which solidated to recollect mostly Catholic population to his rhyme. All in all, the people loved him for these reasons. And I can go on forever, but I won't. Anyways, question 2. Did the nobility like him as an empire or as a person? When Napoleon was an empire of France in the 1800s, at first, Napoleon being an empire, the nobility liked him as a person and as an empire in general. But soon after, they started to dislike him, and I mean really dislike him. Here are some examples of the Napoleon's nobility was not established after the Bourbon Restoration, but it largely disappeared gradually for natural reasons, due in part to the great number of soldiers who had been promoted and subsequently died during the Napoleonic Wars. So in the beginning, they liked him, but at the end, after establishing the Bourbon Restoration, they all wanted him out. It was just how it went. Question 3. How much territory did he control at his most powerful stage? This is a short question. At Napoleon's most powerful stage, when he was an empire, he controlled 500,000 square miles. 500,000. He had a boosted population of 44 million people. Question 4. When was he the most powerful in his life? This is short too. When he was the Empire of France, he controlled a great portion of Europe, which is Europe's pretty big itself. So, yeah. Question 5. Who gave him the power? Well, in reality, for the most part, himself. But it was really that France's military wanted him to fight in the wars against other countries that did not like the revolution. So, yes, in total. Part 3, this is the last part. Napoleon's fall. What caused his fall? All in all, Alexandra, who was basically kind of like the president at the time
Tsar. He was the Russian Tsar.
he was really the Russian Tsar. He broke the Treaty of Tilsit with France. Question 2. Who caused his fall? Again, the Tsar of Russia, who was Alexandra. Question 3. What did he do after he wasn't empire anymore? He was exiled and died 6 years later. What did they do to him afterwards? Not much, actually. I know for a fact he wrote a book about his life. So, yeah. Question 5. How did he die? He died of stomach cancer on May 5th, 1821, at a young age of only 51 years old. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Not really, but yeah. Anyways, yeah. Thanks for listening, and hope everyone has a great day.